All right, let's talk about one of the most wild, most extreme ideas in all of human exploration, the one-way trip to Mars.
Just for a second, really picture it. You're there. The red sand is under your feet. You look up at this thin, pinkish sky, and then this cold, heavy feeling hits you. You are never going home.
And here's the twist. This isn't because something went wrong. This was the plan all along. Now, this sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's a real debate happening right now, and the logic behind it is, well, it's both shocking and, honestly, surprisingly rational. So the big question is, why? Why would we ever send people to another planet knowing they could never come back?
To really get the why, we have to first understand the where, and we need to get one thing crystal clear about Mars. This is not Earth 2.0. It's not some friendly frontier waiting for us. Mars is a place that is, from the ground up, fundamentally hostile to human life. And a one-way trip means you're signing up to fight that battle for the rest of your life.
For starters, it's cold. Unbelievably cold. The average daily temperature is minus 60 degrees Celsius. That's colder than an Antarctic winter. And that's just an average day.
Okay, what about the air? Well, you can't breathe it. It's about 95% carbon dioxide. If you took just one breath of raw Martian air, you'd be dead in minutes. Then there's the invisible killer. See, here on Earth, our magnetic field protects us from a constant storm of deadly solar radiation. Mars doesn't have one. The radiation exposure is so intense, it's like getting a full-body CT scan every single week. Your lifetime cancer risk would just go through the roof. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, the very ground you're standing on is poisonous. Yeah, the soil is filled with these toxic chemicals called perchlorates. You can't grow food in it without intense processing. It would contaminate your water. So basically, staying on Mars means you're forever living inside a high-tech tin can, constantly fighting a planet that does not want you there.
So, given all of that, all those horrors, why is a one-way ticket even being discussed? Well, the answer comes down to the cold, hard math of just getting there.
It all boils down to something engineers call the tyranny of the rocket equation. And it's a real beast. Here's how it works. Fuel's heavy, right? So to bring enough fuel to get off of Mars to come home, you need a way bigger, heavier rocket. But that bigger rocket needs even more fuel just to get it off Earth in the first place. It just spirals out of control exponentially.
And the real-world result of that equation? Money. A one-way trip to Mars could be as much as 10 times cheaper than a round trip. That's the kind of difference that moves a mission from pure fantasy into something we could actually, maybe, afford to do. And it's not just about the money. There's the human cost. Just the 9-month trip to Mars completely messes with the human body. We're talking brittle bones, changes to your vision, your heart literally gets displaced. Now imagine going through all of that, landing on a hostile planet, and then doing it all over again to come back. A return trip doesn't just double the risk, it multiplies it. But here's the truly mind-blowing part. Back in 2013, a project called Mars One said they were looking for volunteers for a one-way mission. You'd think no one would apply, right? They got 200,000 applications, 200,000 people ready to leave Earth behind forever. So the question isn't, would anyone go? The question is, should we let them?
And that leads us to the biggest reason of all, the one that completely reframes this entire debate, not as a tragedy, but maybe as a necessity.
Some of our greatest minds, people like Stephen Hawking, have all basically said the same thing. As long as every single human being is stuck on one planet, our species is fundamentally at risk. We're endangered. And that is the ultimate argument for the one-way trip. This isn't really about saving money. It's about saving humanity. It's our species extinction insurance policy. Think about it. All of our eggs are in this one basket called Earth. A single catastrophic event, a massive asteroid, a climate disaster we can't reverse, a nuclear war, and that's it. Game over for humanity. A self-sustaining colony on another world is literally our only backup plan. And when you start to see it that way, the whole picture changes. It's not a death sentence for a few brave astronauts. It's a seed for humanity's future, planted on another world to make sure our story continues, no matter what happens back here. So this brings us to one final huge question, and it's less about the science and more about who we are. Are we the kind of species that plays it safe? Are we meant to just stay here, contained on the one planet that gave birth to us? Or is there something deep in our DNA that pushes us to see what's over the next hill, across the next ocean, and beyond the next planet?
even when it's incredibly dangerous? When you look back at our entire story, it's always been the risk takers who pushed us forward, the people who got in the rickety boats and sailed into nothingness. This one-way mission, you could say it's the ultimate version of that impulse.
So let's make it personal. Forget the abstract ideas for a moment. Would you get on that rocket, knowing you were saying goodbye to Earth forever? It's the ultimate question, really. What do we value more, our own lives or the future of the human story itself?